When I was a teenager in the late 70s, side zip boots were all the rage. Pop stars like Elton John wore them. They had thick platform soles and high heels, very sharp pointy toes, and you wore them with bell bottoms long enough to cover the entire boot, 2-inch platform soles and all. There was some trauma involved because within a few years of wearing them, you became your own fashion police and you realized how ridiculous they were. So imagine my surprise when I realized I liked these 21st century versions. How you going? My name is Tech and welcome to Bootlosophy. I'm filming on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk people in Perth in Western Australia. This pair of boots is a trip back to my teens when I had a couple of pairs of side zip boots. But let's leave that in the memory banks and look over this 21st century version of very stylish side zip ankle boots with one of the most elegant lasts I've seen in a long time. This is the Bliskavka boot from new brand Arno Shoes. I've left a link to their website below. Now, just before I begin, I'm disclosing this pair was given to me for review, but I've got no links to Arno Shoes, not even affiliate links in the website link below. Christian Ramos of Christian Daniel Boots introduced me to them, and I'm happy to give them an objective review because, in my opinion, all small artisan brands attempting to introduce themselves and show us new designs deserve some recognition. Even more so if the quality's there. Let's see. The side zip boot is a weird offshoot of a Chelsea boot, at least in shape as a laceless boot. For Australians, a side zip boot is also a work boot, most often seen on building sites and mines. But to be fair, those are merely an easy on and off mechanism sewn into the sides of chunky steel toe work boots that even have laces. The Bliskavka by Arno Shoes is the former, looking like a Chelsea boot that forgot its elastic goring and to compensate had a side zip inserted to get your foot into this elegant slim shape. It has an almond-shaped toe and shows an elegant line down the instep, helped by the lack of laces and a very large vamp piece that forms the vamp and even half the shaft. The quarter pieces are smaller, and this large vamp, small quarter design emphasizes the minimalist lines and sleekness. It is a dressy last, yet almost cowboy boot-like in shape, but more of that later. Side zip boots started making an appearance some 70 years after the invention of the zipper. Although there is no clear beginning to the use of zips in men's footwear, it seems to have become more popularly used in boots by about 1923. Around that time there was a mixture of the single side zip boot and the twin side zip boot, both gaining some popularity because the design allowed a minimalist dress boot shape and the zip made the slim design a practicality. I have read that the twin zip boot was popularized in Italy in the military in the 20s, but I could only find one article saying that. Now I can see viewers shaking their heads in disbelief that the military could wear these. Already I've had comments in the unboxing video of these that people wouldn't trust the zip in case it fails. Now, I have to say that apart from super cheap side zip models, I have never heard of zips that have failed catastrophically, even in work boots. If the zip is made by a reputable company, they are as likely to fail as any other part of the boot. And these boots are made with either YKK zips or zips from Ruby, two long-time and respectable zip manufacturers. And ultimately, like elastic goring, your cobbler can replace the zips. In view of the slim, sleek last and almost impossibly comfortable pointy almond toe, I find that the Bliskavka pairs well with slim fit jeans and pants. While the russet kudu is itself not dressy, in the sense that you can't wear it with a suit, the dark colour and the shape will go with dark chinos like a dark navy, a dressy button-down shirt, and yes, you can dress it up from date night and make it business casual by adding a blazer or sports coat. It's dark enough that you can pair it with all black in cooler months with black jeans, a black polo neck jumper and a leather jacket. Or, being brown, of course it goes with dark denim and a flannel shirt, and you can throw on Huckberry's best-selling wax trucker jacket. Affiliate links below. Now let's talk a bit about Arno Shoes. But before I do, I want to remind you to click on like and subscribe below. And if you're interested in motivational leadership and business management videos, who isn't, you might want to check out and sub to my new channel called techo.com. Here's a snippet of what you can expect. Think about a time when someone truly inspired you. Was it the way they spoke, the way they acted, or maybe the way they made you feel? That's what we're unpacking today, because leadership isn't just about giving orders. It's about inspiring action, building trust, and creating an environment where people can thrive. And trust me, it's not what you think. And we're back to Arno Shoes, which was started by Ukrainian-American Mikhail Bliskavka. Now, Bliskavka apparently has two meanings in Ukrainian: lightning and zipper, so that's most appropriate. Mikhail had a varied history serving in the US Coast Guard and the Air Force Reserve, and then went to study electrical engineering, and then got into the rabbit hole of the Goodyear Welt subreddit. After himself collecting several Goodyear welted boots, he met the owner of a cobbler store, started to hang out with him, and learned how to make boots. And he ended up making himself a pair of boots, chuckers, I think. He got so interested he went to the Stefano Bema School in Florence, Italy to study shoemaking. There he met his partner Christine O'Leary, who was working at Stefano Bema, and they decided to collaborate and start Arno Shoes. I'm hoping to organize an interview with them, so keep subbed and watch out for this coming up. Now, Mikhail and Christine bring a couple of things to Arno Shoes that I've noticed, and I hope to ask them more about these aspects. Number one, I see a lot of both Western cowboy boot and European style in their lasts and designs. These are not chunky Iron Ranger Evolutions or robustly shaped Viberg service boots. They are very European in look and feel, in my opinion, and the Bliskavka at least has a cowboy boot shape to look, even though Mikhail tells me that they're not based on a cowboy boot last. Number two, if you look at the different designs and models that they make as experiments or one-off made to order, they really push the envelope of existing designs. Their service boots are not just another service boot. There's enough difference in the shape of the last and the patterns of the leathers to push them into dress boot territory, and enough difference in the leather panels and makeup to move the designs forward from the standard. As a brand, they also allow you two routes into their boots. They have two ready-to-wear models, the Bliskavka side zip and the Bliskavka service boot with a Ukrainian embroidery insert in the shaft. Now, I hope I'm not butchering these names. Now, these are made in a subcontracted factory in León, Mexico, but Mikhail also produces one-of-a-kind made-to-order boots himself. If you take a look at the Instagram account, link below, you'll see the depth of different one-off designs. Now, let's look at the construction of these boots, and as usual, I'll start from the bottom. The outsole is a rubber-studded outsole like Daynut, but smaller studs and with a slightly softer compound. I assume that they're León-produced rubber outsoles, and so far they have worn durably with no chips or edges knocked off or anything. As the León shoemaking industry grows, it gets better, and these outsoles are perfectly fine for durability, comfort and grip. The heel stack is a stack of veg-tan leather topped by a rubber-studded top lift. The top lift is glued on, and I don't see any evidence of nails, but I presume the stacked leather heel is both glued and nailed. The uppers are attached using the Goodyear welt form of construction, but with the welt attached to the insole by an old method that's often called hand welting. Now, in Goodyear welting, the insole is first stitched to the inside edge of the welt and the uppers on the inside. Now, the insole is stitched through what's called a gemming, usually made of canvas. A little strip of canvas that's glued to the insole, and then that's what the stitch goes through, not the insole itself. In this case, the leather insole has a sideways channel sliced into it at its edge. The slice of leather is then used as the gemming to stitch the welt on. This is a much more labor-intensive process, as you have to slice the channel, then hand stitch it through it into the welts and the uppers. Cowboy boots are often made this way. Now, once that's done, the cavity caused by the 2 mm thick welt going around the edge of the boot is filled with a cork layer for shock absorption. A shank is inserted between the heel and the foot pad. Then a leather midsole is glued on top of that, and then the rubber outsole is glued on, and finally the outside Goodyear welt stitch goes all the way around the boot, forming a 360-degree stitched Goodyear welt. Inside the boot, there's an unpadded leather sock liner glued on, covering the nails at the heel and providing comfort from heel to arch. The whole inside of the boot has a leather lining, and I like that red stripe sewn in all the way up the inside of the heel. Now I know that's just an affectation, but it's also a flash of personality. The uppers leather is Charles F. Stead's kudu. The colour is called russet and is a mid-brown with some reddish undertones, a little bit like autumn leaves. Kudu is a southern African antelope and is humanely culled because it can destroy crops as their numbers grow, and the animal is fully utilised, including the provision of meat to the local population. Like all kudu, it has some incredibly attractive grain showing scarring and the extent of the animal's life. It's a leather that can stretch as you wear it because for its thickness it has good tensile strength. When I first tried these on, it took me a long minute to actually get them on because the opening isn't very big and I really struggled. But after just 5 or 6 wears, the leather softened and relaxed and the shaft opened out, and while still a tight opening, snug, I get these boots on fine, even without the use of a shoehorn. Even so, the heel counter and the heel cup itself remain stiff, and that's the hard bit to get around without a shoehorn. Now, this zip is not YKK and is unbranded, so I assume it's a Ruby brand zip. There's no difficulty zipping it up or down. The pull tab is meaty and the brass teeth feel strong and secure. I'm not going to work in an open cast iron ore mine in these, but the zip is going to be fine in casual wear. The stitching is good quality. The welt stitching is clean and precise, as is the stitching on the leather pieces. You know, I honestly find it hard to find fault with these boots. And indeed, that's all to say about the construction, because once you note the hand lasting, the pattern is minimalist and simple. Caring for kudu is simple because it's a rugged leather. You keep it clean, brush occasionally. The colour gives it a slight pull-up effect, and I think conditioning is not required as often as, say, a smooth grain leather like Chrome Excel. When you condition it, I'd use a less oily or a less heavy conditioner, and I'd use something like Bickmore's Bic 4, or I'd spray it with a suede conditioner. In the couple of months I've had this, I've worn this pair maybe 15 or so full days, and honestly, the more you wear this leather, the more it starts to show rolls and variations in the pull-up effect, which frankly I think you'd want to keep rather than oil it up with a heavy conditioner. Looking at sizing, Arno Shoes recommend going true to size. Now, my true US size measured on the Brannock device is 8.5 in D width. Almost all my US Heritage boots are sized down to 8D, down by half. My sneakers tend to be size 9, which is why I hate when people ask how Heritage boots compare to sneakers. You know, just go and get measured. Anyway, in this pair, I took a true 8.5D. For wider fits, the brand says to go up a half size since they don't offer variations from a D width. Now, you will not believe how much capital investment is required by a brand to produce variations of lasts in different sizes and different widths. First, there's the design cost, possibly thousands. Then each last will cost several $100s to make. So if you have multiple lasts in multiple sizes, 7, 8, 9, 13, and then width, DE, it prices small starting brands out of having multiple widths and large size ranges. Now, a word of warning, the last is slim, but in this leather that's not a problem. In a less forgiving leather, you may want to consider sizing up. For me, once I had them on no more than 3 or 4 times, they became truly comfortable, snug and supportive, but not tight. Even this possibly frighteningly pointy toe is not a problem because of the design of the last, which increases the length ever so slightly, so it doesn't squeeze your toes in, plenty of room. That's why I thought they were cowboy boot last inspired. As for value, these sell for US $460, I think. I'm not quite sure because the website is one of those that automatically shows the local currency depending on your location, and there isn't a tag that you can do to change countries. I don't like those websites. Now, in the overall scheme of heritage boots, that's not in the lower end of the price range, let's face it. Forgetting brands like Thursday, that's at the entry-level end, and the staples like Red Wing, the mid-range brands like Parkhurst, Grantstone and Truman are in that sort of mid-$400 range. So, little brand that they are these comparable? Well, firstly, it's hard to answer because I can't think of another US heritage brand that makes sleek European-style side-sit boots. Casual boots that does feature more European lasts is in that price range. But if you ignore the style, the construction and materials certainly meets the same quality as the other mid-range brands. The factory Arno Shoes produces a quality product in my opinion. So in terms of quality, yes, I think they compare as well as the others. In terms of value, there is a uniqueness there. The style and design has drawn many complimentary comments when I wear them. I think they are worth at least the same as any Parkhurst, Grantstone or Oak Street models. And in some areas, it's possibly a little more consistent than the Truman boots that I have. So there you are, a new entrant that has impressed me. Arno has only 2 ready-to-wear models, and perhaps as they expand or get more capital, they'll start to introduce others because from what I've seen of their one-off work, Mikhail and Christine have a lot of talent and inventiveness. Seriously, go check them out because they might blow up soon. And before I go, their YouTuber's mantra, click and subscribe, right? Please do. It'll help me out and get to more boot nerds. In the meantime, take care of yourself and I'll see you back here next week.